Welcome to Building Your T-Shirt Empire, powered by ShirtAgency.com. Get ready to take a trip inside the apparel industry for the best tips, tricks, and interviews. And now, here's your host, Cole Lundstrom.
Hello and welcome to Building Your T-Shirt Empire. This week we have kind of a weird backward interview where I get asked questions about how to build a shop from scratch. So buckle up and enjoy a nice long episode that covers a wide range of topics. Really helps people kind of more with the mindset of how to grow their business as opposed to some of the more technical stuff that we have in other episodes. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening.
Starting a small business in smaller town, Tehachapi, California. I've got a 4-color single platen press. I have a flash dryer. I've got a small area where I can kind of clean up and whatnot, and my demographic is relatively tight. Now, I'm debating on whether or not it's cost effective to get a conveyor. Like, at what point would I want to get a conveyor dryer, to invest that much money into it? How many accounts would I really need to have?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about basically the way that you're going to make money and then use your money just building on it. So I wouldn't say the number of accounts matters. You could have 80 bad accounts, or you could have one guy that crushes you and is like your biggest account ever. So it's more about if you have free money besides your basic necessities, then put it in the business. That's what I would say. Go ahead and just keep an old car or whatever, and then put that money into a business. And that's when you're buying the conveyor dryer. It's maybe you only need to do 100 shirts a week to justify the dryer. But you should just get it the second the money makes sense.
Okay. Now, with my flash dryer, would that be a problem? Should I be worried about using that on the same platen over and over? I've noticed that sometimes, because I'm heating up on the same shirt. It? Not so much the platen, but the shirts, after doing it for so long, they'll start getting the plastisol, start sticking more, so I'm having to, the time consumption alone, do 10 shirts at 4 colors is taking me an hour. At least.
Yeah, and that'll kill you.
Right.
So then maybe you're already there. If you're taking it seriously as the way you're going to make money, then you're just investing in the business. You don't have to be afraid of going overboard. I think there are people that do buy a kit. They'll buy the $10,000 kit from, Ryonet or something because they're going to start a business. Mm-hmm. And then they don't have they don't have the drive. They don't actually make things happen. They thought that the kit was going to be a business, which it isn't. So I think that for you, you're already hustling jobs. You'll probably buy one within the next month or two. And you can finance stuff like that if you're worried about losing all the cash all at once. I think the cheapest ones are, have you looked them up? They're $2,000.
Yeah, I thought I saw them for about $3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you can buy used ones
on
Craigslist. Yeah, which actually has come into play. That was a great tip. Craigslist is amazing for starting out instead of going the route of Ryonet, or whatever main distributor. Craigslist, yeah. You said.
When it's all about making money and hustling in the beginning, then totally just do anything to survive. Because our first year, I didn't have a 4-1 our first year until maybe 7 months in because everything was farmed out. And then we didn't have a legitimate conveyor dryer till, I don't know, a year and a half or something.
Okay.
Because we were just ghetto rigging. Okay. But that was crazy scramble days. So we were very hand to mouth with all of our jobs. The money just paid for the rent and just paid for the whatever. We didn't really get our flow till the end of year 2. That's when it finally felt like a normal business. Okay. So when you're scrambling, just do anything to make money. That way things will get easier for you.
Now, farming out, I know you've talked about that before, but what does that entail exactly? What kind of setup? I know if you get the account, but then did you produce the art at least? What did you bring to the table when you were farming stuff out?
Most shops won't care if you bring anything to the table other than a client. If you want to do the middleman thing, you'd land the client, give yourself some sort of order form or even just a contact form on your website that has the components of an order form. And then start a relationship with a shop where you know their pricing. So you know that they're going to charge you $3 print only for like 100 shirts. And you know that you don't have time to print 100 shirts this weekend.
Okay.
So it's that kind of a relationship where like you're telling your client $9, blank, printing, everything all inclusive. You're paying for the blank, which is $3.50 maybe because it's like a Bella. And then you're doing like a $3 print charge to the print shop. You keep the last $3. Or you keep the last $2.50. Okay. I mean, you basically become a sales guy.
Right.
Like you're doing all of Chris's job and just ignoring the back end, which is a really good way to start. We farmed out a ton.
Okay. So establishing a good relationship with somebody, though, like you, well, yeah, for example, like if I came to you and said, "Hey, all right, so I've got 5 or 6 different accounts." Mm-hmm. And I'm not really set up to do them. Can I just farm them out to you guys? And because we have a rapport, that's a better route to go instead of just kind of showing up at a place like, we have a distance
problem. I mean, obviously, we would totally print for you, and that wouldn't be a problem. But your biggest problem with printing here is distance, just because you're like 3 hours out. So finding a guy who's close to you, who you can like stop in, will really help. Because let's say you land 500 hoodies for the high school, like you're going to be stressed out about that money. You're going to be stressed out about it being right. You know that you're actually going to be able to lose more by screwing up. So since you're so paranoid about screwing up, you might just want to hang out at the shop while they run it. Okay. Or you might need to go there, approve the first one, and then be like, all right, I'll see you in 4 hours. I mean, it takes babysitting because your name is on it now. Like, you're going to ruin that relationship with that client. And what are you going to do? Explain that, like, some other guy's an idiot? Like, it has to be right, basically. You can't screw up other jobs and try to blame another shop. And the guy's like, well, I came to you, not another shop.
Right. See, in my scenario, though, it's different because I'm such a small town of 13,000. The competition is so high, I can't really go to one of the local guys when he could just do it himself. It would have to be something to a closer town like Palmdale or Lancaster.
I mean, I don't know if competition exists that much in screen printing. I mean, I've never felt like I was competing with the guys in LA in any real sense. Like, you want to be like, oh, I got the best search result. Like, you want that. Mm-hmm. And you want to be like the obvious shop when people find you online or whatever. But I've never felt like it was competition, like we have to slaughter family industries. Like, that's not the way to approach it. I would much rather work with someone like family and like be like, hey guys, I have 10,000 units and I can't finish. And they're like, great, like we'll knock out the last 4,000. Like, that kind of relationship is going to be beneficial for everyone. So I don't know if you have to worry too much about like people jacking your customers. And if someone does, then just they're dead to you. I mean, most people won't do it, but if someone is doing it, then they're a douche.
Right. Okay. Now, ink. That's a big issue I've ran into, disposing of my ink. I noticed out there you have that big tub of where your area where you clean the screens. Mm-hmm. What do you do with that?
The ink is not supposed to go into the dumpster.
Right. And that's all plastisol.
Yeah.
Right.
So we try to use as much as humanly possible on the shirts. Like, they're supposed to be cleaning out screens and like scraping it into buckets if it's clean enough ink. And stuff like that. It. Yeah, so if you didn't ruin your white ink, it should be going back in your containers. And for you, it's so small of a problem that
shouldn't worry.
Like, it's not even a thing, really. I guess if you had a big enough shop, then you could dispose of it properly at like a recycling center. But what's your ink waste going to be like? Not even like a gallon.
Yeah, cleaning my screens, actually, that has been kind of an issue after the emulsion and whatnot. I have a back area where I clean them, and they go into a 12-gallon
like
plastic
a Tupperware
tank,
thing?
Tupperware, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I kind of am stuck at that point. I've got this thing full now, and it's like, well, I don't know how.
So you don't have a washout booth, or?
That's my washout booth. It goes down into that.
I mean, if you're worried about it, you can buy a filter system. That way you can put it down the drain. So like the filter system clicks in underneath your washout booth or underneath your giant tub, apparently. Okay. And then it grabs everything, and then you can like change out the filter instead of worrying about like what to do with your wastewater. But once again, there's so many people that kind of ignore that problem.
Okay.
Which is bad to do.
Embroidery, if I'm approaching a customer, right, and I tell them what I have, I'm screen printing, that's my main objective or capability. What if they're wanting something else, like DTG or embroidery, or, you know, as of right now, I'm not set up to do like hats or, you know, sleeves or collars. I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult, but, you know, something more specific, like embroidery, I guess, is a better example. Like, what do I just farm that out? Do I say, oh, I know a guy? You know, do I just try to keep that networking? Or
I wouldn't do it. I know a guy, because once again, you can build your whole business off being a middleman.
Okay.
So like, you decide what you're going to offer. Like, maybe there's no reason for you to even pretend you're going to do sublimation, right? Because it's not even in your area. And you could do embroidery, screen printing, and embroidery is like, you know, 35 pieces minimum or 50 pieces minimum. That way you don't find yourself like running around to the local embroidery shop for a 10-piece job. Because when you first start middlemaning that kind of stuff with like an embroidery shop or a DTG shop, because you don't have the equipment, they're just going to want to charge you full price. So if you come at them with 13 pieces, there's no way for you to make a profit at all. You kind of have to come and be like, hey, I'm doing this restaurant, I'm doing all their t-shirts already, now they want to do hats, so we're going to do like 80 hats every month for this restaurant, whatever. Like, you have to kind of come at them with a plan beyond this order right now. Because when it's just this order right now, they won't give you any sort of discounts. They're not going to see like a business relationship, they're just going to see like a guy who needs hats.
Okay.
But yeah, I would tell my customers that, like, I got you. It's cool. I'll do the hats. And just give them a price. You don't really have to explain everything as long as the finished product is, like, fair and quality. As long as you're not scamming anyone, there's no reason to explain your business.
All right. Now, how would I show them proof on something like that? Let's say they wanted a specific type of hat with a specific type of design. How do I come up with that kind of...
Well, you do a mock-up just like you do a t-shirt. So that'll show them, like, the placement and how big you're going to do it. And then I would also get some samples. So, like, if you make a deal with an embroidery shop, you know, buy, like, 6 hats off of them. And then when you go to a meeting, you can be like, here's our polo, here's our hat, here's our t-shirt. And samples are a really simple thing because you can actually kill people's interest by showing them too much. Sometimes showing up with, like, 2 great shirts and, like, 1 great hat is much better than being like, here's my 25 options. A whole bunch of them are trash. Some of them are okay. This one's expensive. Like, when you do that, you overwhelm people and they can't really see what's good. But when you show them 1 hat, they're like, dope hat. You know? It's just easier for everyone's brain to understand that they like this one thing.
Okay.
Instead of confusing them with samples.
So maybe go through, like, with Bella Canvas, Lane 7, or Hanes, whoever, and just maybe grab 1 or 2 from, like, maybe their hot kind of items.
You can just call them and ask for samples.
Oh, really? And they'll just,
they'll have
free.
different...
They'll...
Well, it's free to me.
Oh.
They'll give you samples, and they'll normally have some sort of pack. It's like the Bella...
Is it like the square, like, cloth?
No, they'll give you shirts.
The actual shirt?
Yeah, but it'll be like the Bella sample pack or whatever. I don't know how much they're charging. I would guess it's 20 or maybe under 20, and you probably get like 6 shirts.
Okay.
And you just call them directly and be like, hey, we're opening in a month and we need a sample pack. And they'll have some sort of sample pricing. I'm sure they get it constantly. And then once you are established, you'll have a rep. So your rep will, like, if they're in town, they'll stop in. But even if they're not in town, they'll, like, call you up or email you and tell you that there's a new product coming. And they'll normally send you, like, 1 of the new product.
Okay.
Like, we got 1 of the new bomber jackets in already and stuff. And it's because they know that they want people seeing it in our store. So once you get going, they'll start giving you samples for free.
Okay. So reps are pretty important. And at what point do you get the rep? You said just kind of when they notice that you're ordering a lot, or...
Yeah, I mean, there's people who order a ton and have never had a rep. And then there's people who drive a rep crazy and they, like, barely buy anything. So, I mean, if you're on the phone, you can get yourself somebody who's your rep. I mean, they're used to it. It's set up like that. All the distributors and all the places, they have people who do nothing but sales. So they basically become your point of contact pretty quickly. Or you can do it online and just not do phone calls.
Okay. So if I were to call, like, let's say call S&S, that would be kind of a good way to go about it and say, hey, what's really hot right now? You know, what do you guys have going?
Or go to their open house. Their open house is probably going to be like October-ish. I don't know what their plan is, but I think like last year it was like October. You can go to those open houses and they have a ton of stuff that they give away on purpose, like a grab bag. So you'll get like 15 items, and then beyond getting the stuff, they'll give you the whole pitch. Like, this is hot for hunters. Like, the amount of stuff I've seen on camo, when I'll never sell camo ever here, because it doesn't make any sense for us. But when you go to those events, like, you just do every pitch, even if you don't need it. Just know everything. Same with ISS in January. I think we already missed the Vegas one. But if you go to Long Beach ISS this January, you can get absolutely anything you want for samples, for just learning people's like sales techniques, whatever you want. Because it's the entire convention center.
Okay. So now I know you mentioned before sales, how important that is. Mm-hmm. That you would say that's probably
it's basically the whole business.
That's the whole. So with me personally doing everything myself out of, you know, my little garage, that's where I need to probably focus my strength, is mainly the sales, because I'm the only one I had to lean on, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's...
Well, yeah, because you're going to have a lot of credibility problems.
Right.
Like a ton.
Right. And that's where a website comes into play, right?
Well, yeah, websites, but even that's kind of bare minimum. Like getting the website up is people... If you start hitting up people with your Gmail account and stuff, it's just... They're just not going to give you money. You'll end up getting like a 20-piece order, but you won't get any sort of good orders because you're not like a business yet. So the website, an email that actually is the same name as the website, maybe figure out some sort of like work number, or at least change your voicemail so that your voicemail is no longer your personal. You can do a lot of stuff like Skype or other voice over IP things where like you have a fake number. Like Shirt Agency's number actually goes to me, Chris, and Joni's cells. Okay. So like when they're calling us, they're not calling our landline, they're calling our cells, but it's put on through business hours. So like it stops going to our phones at like I think 5:30 we have it set.
Okay, and how do you set that up?
Well, that specific one is called Mighty Call, but there's a lot of services that are very similar to that. And then that way you can have like your own business number.
Right.
And it's not like they're calling you as a human.
Right. They're calling during business hours and then it shuts off. No,
and that sounds more professional.
Great. Yeah, no, that sounds great. Mm-hmm. So what's the process called? Or like what's that type of
Mighty Call's the name of the
app. Okay.
And so it's I don't know what it is a month. We pay a lot more because we have a lot more minutes and lines.
Okay.
But when it starts, I think it's pretty cheap when you get only one person on it. But you have to pay for each new cell phone you're adding, so that's why our bill got high on it. But yeah, it's great. I mean, the ability to like answer the phone when you're at lunch and like they're calling your business line is amazing. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like, oh, what if so-and-so calls?
Right. But then you also get the reprieve of having your weekends or evenings to where somebody's calling.
Because if somebody is calling us at 11 on Saturday, like, we don't even have to decide to ignore them. Like,
right.
It's decided for us.
Right. No, that's awesome. That sounds great.
Because, yeah, you do have some customers that get a little intense. Which just happens. I mean, it's their money, so I think it makes sense when people get worried. Mm-hmm. But some people get worried about stuff that's actually going fine. So you end up with, like, panicky calls.
Right. Now, I kind of already have had a little bit of experience with this personally. I went in with a partner at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. It ended pretty quickly, and...
That's probably better.
Not horrible. That's what I was going to ask. At what point, like, so but just... If you're starting up, it's definitely not a good idea to go in, or at any point, like in this type of industry. Like, would you ever think it would be a good idea to...
I started the thing with a girlfriend that I had for 3 months, and she sold her Civic, so I'm all for partners.
Right.
I mean, me and Joni were like, we like met at Halloween, and then we were we started Shirt Agency in February. So it was like, between meeting and starting was like 4 or 5 months, maybe.
Wow.
So, I mean, people help, for sure.
Right.
You can do it on your own, and if you can find the right person, it'll be easier with the right person.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't be afraid of partners. I'd be afraid of, like, losers. But people who are on it are great. I mean, we never would have gotten bigger without people like Vlad and stuff, who are just good, like, coworkers.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's a little...
I mean, for you, just hustle some money, but...
Right.
Because you could also become the boss, essentially, and then you could just hire people.
You have
a little more control.
Of course, yeah, you want... I guess I'm not looking at it from that aspect. I'm looking at it from somebody who's kind of on the same path, and we both want to achieve the same goal, you know, but then there's that risk, because my partner, it all sounded great and fine at the beginning, but, you know, all of a sudden he's, hey, I'm getting married, you know, out of clear blue sky, and it's like, okay, well, he's got no time to work or do anything, but then half the equipment was his, so now I'm kind of stuck.
Now you don't have the actual gear.
Right, so now I'm kind of, but
yeah,
I guess
but I mean, that's
learned.
just people having different priorities. Because it's like, the amount of times that I've thought something was a great idea and then completely bailed on it. I mean, you can't really fault someone if the money's not there yet. When you're starting, that kind of do or die thing is rare. A lot of people aren't going to be diehard about their business. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, I was going to do this thing. Oh, I didn't really make any money. And it's like, that's it. Like, you just, like, cut your losses. So having that diehard mentality, it will be harder to find someone who cares that much about printing t-shirts.
Okay.
Like, a lot of people will think it's fun, but they won't necessarily want to actually, like, do it like a job.
Business, right. Yeah, because you said you've been, since your beginning with Joni, that was 13 years ago, right?
No.
Oh, I thought
5.
Oh, it was 5? Oh, so this is taking you 5 years? Oh, wow. That's really impressive.
13, I would have been like I don't even know.
20s?
No, I would have been like 17 or something.
Oh, okay. Alright, so you can edit that out.
Yeah, it would have been like crazy.
Alright, so 5 years, so that's even more exciting. So, wow, you jumped this high. At what point... My objective is to get it to where it's self-sustaining, pretty much, to where I can walk away, not so much sell the business, but, you know, have it kind of run by itself, to where I can go off and start a new venture, you know, possibly another shirt agency, maybe in a different state. Maybe we've kind of touched on that before, like doing something in Nevada, you know, having kind of different satellite points. I mean... What do I need to get to, I guess, to achieve that?
I don't know. I can tell you when I figure it out. I mean,
you haven't.
So we have one location in Rancho that's basically shipping / sales. And what we learned was that the infrastructure... so the infrastructure is not cheap, right? Like, just our gear, if there was no rent, no payroll, nothing, just our gear is well over $100K now. I mean... probably over $150K in gear. And so, like, just copy pasting that doesn't work. So there was this really, really large print shop. I'm blanking on the name. Plus, I'm going to trash talk them, so I probably should remember the name. So they get $1 million, right? Investment money. And they grow instantly to spend the money. So they ended up doing, I think it was at least a dozen autos, and it was a huge staff, and they just like turned it on, right? This huge t-shirt factory. They did everything right, but they didn't have the sales to support it. No one knew who they were, and they were bankrupt in about 18 months. And it was because, like, you can't copy paste a location. Like, Shirt Agency in LA, if we just open tomorrow in Portland, we will not be Shirt Agency Portland. Like, we can put the name out there and no one will know who we are, like, at all. So if we threw $150,000 worth of gear in Portland, then we'd have a shop that's like running 1 or 2 jobs a day with the gear that in LA we do whatever 2,000, 3,000 in a day. So it's like you can't just copy paste because of the sales. I mean, the internet helps, but if you're going to say that the internet helps, then why have another location at all?
Just do everything out of
one
shop.
Like we were thinking that next time we expand, we'll probably keep this. We won't actually leave LA, and we would get another facility that's like the production facility. Like that's how we're thinking of expanding now. We're not thinking like franchise McDonald's style.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking like, okay, there's like the downtown meeting center, and then there's, I don't know, something big and ugly in like Anaheim, or maybe even something cheaper, like Ontario, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like a big air-conditioned warehouse where guys just like do the work and stuff. Yeah, because trying to open little shirt agencies would actually be more expensive. And with the internet, I mean, you can order from London if you want.
Right. So, speaking of that, going back to the website, that is still vital, though, right? Your Facebook, your Instagram, your social media standpoints, all those. If you want to expand, if you want to do any good, that's.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it comes down to trust. They're like trust building situations. So, you put out, you meet someone, right? Mm-hmm. We'll just go through the flow of meeting someone. Mm-hmm. So you meet someone, you hand them your business card. They're like, congratulations, you know about Vistaprint too, right? Mm-hmm. Now maybe you do a good job talking and they look into you later. If they go online and you just like pop right up, your credibility has skyrocketed. But if they're digging through the trenches to find something that you did like a year ago, where you like made a Facebook page and abandoned it, and then now they're looking at a Facebook page with like your mom liked it. I mean, like you're clearly really. You ain't doing nothing, you know, like that's what it is. You ain't doing nothing. So like either you can go the old school route and have a business with no profile because you're building like real relationships and just figure you're too good for social media, or you can take the huge advantage that it gives to everyone and then like just put out content all the time. We put out a fair amount of junk. I mean, like it's just like holding up the camera. You know, it's like I turn on the time lapse or I take a picture of like someone holding a t-shirt, but it means we're doing stuff, right, as opposed to like an Instagram that someone abandoned a year ago. Because people see dates, like they see that nothing's happening. It just looks like you don't actually do anything. But if you're like grinding and showing everyone you're grinding, people like to watch it. It's fun.
Once you come up. Now, and I know this is such a basic question, and I hate to even ask it, but is it worth it to use an iPhone over an Android for all these things? Because like I've always been an Android user. I hate the operating system for iPhones.
Which one do you have? You have a good one?
I've got a Note 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little outdated and whatnot, but I mean, because I noticed these guys who, you know, all your guys out here who take pictures and stuff, they all have iPhones.
Yeah,
you know, the quality.
We're an Apple shop.
Right. But it just, the camera's better. And then the apps. I'm just wondering if, like, overall it's honestly made the transition easier. Because I'm due for an upgrade anyways.
Yeah. I mean, they're cool. I like the iPhone a lot for doing all the social media stuff. I mean, it's just... It's just easier, reliable. Right? I mean, I haven't had an Android for 3 or 4 years, so it doesn't... I don't really know the reliability of most Androids. I would assume that the Samsungs are pretty awesome. Like, those look great every time I've played with them. But for me, it's just, at this point, I'm so ingrained in that ecosystem that I'm probably just going to stay there. Because I've already bought junk and bought apps and whatever.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't actually think that, like, the quality of your camera matters when you're doing, like, a 2-inch by 2-inch square on Instagram, though. I mean, quality... You can do a lot with composition and lighting and ignore how crap your camera is. Like when we do, it's funny when we do we do videos with Bella that are like, you know, how to print on whatever. Mm-hmm. And when we do it, they come in with these insane Canon cameras. They're like $20,000 units. And every single time they walk in, I'm like, people watch this on their phone. Like
right,
like
it's a bit of overkill.
Yeah, I mean, we shoot everything in 4K. Like,
wow,
it's like raw 4K footage on these like borderline movie cameras, and everyone's just gonna watch it on their phone with a bad internet connection.
Well, yeah,
they're gonna put their setting on auto. Like, they're not even gonna hit like the HD button. They're just gonna like. So, I mean, in a lot of ways...
driving down the street, so they're only halfway going to watch it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you got Bella money, then yeah, do it.
Go for it.
Do it. But for you, I don't,
Okay.
if you want a phone, get it. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think people are like...
that much of a difference. Okay. Okay. Good, because I like my operating system better.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but my biggest issue, hands down, is Adobe Illustrator and just like creating the art. What would be your best recommendation? I want to learn it though, as opposed to just farming it out or having, let's say Sammy do it at Ace. I'm wanting to put in the time and effort. Is there a route? I know there's an online course, which...
Yeah, I think Kevin teaches it. Did you meet Kevin when you were here?
No.
Oh, Kevin's up at Ryonet, and I think he's in charge of the online Illustrator course.
Mm-hmm.
But... honestly, since you took the normal class, you kind of got it. Like, that Illustrator course is kind of meant to be kind of on its own. So you have a lot of that class already from taking our class.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could do it and you'd learn more. And also, I think you could probably talk with Kevin a lot. But I would think that YouTube is going to be, like, huge for you.
Good.
Because there's people who make amazing, completely free videos. And they may not necessarily... You don't have to search for t-shirt. Like, sometimes you can, like, watch those guys who are just designers.
Mm-hmm.
Just watch them do, like, an entire piece of art for, like, 25 minutes. Because there's guys who have a microphone set up and they talk through the entire job. And once you start learning the tools, then applying it to t-shirts is easier.
Right. That's just a few things I've learned through you. Like I was saying, you and Dan, I mean, going home and trying it on my own. Mm-hmm. And that was just watching you for a few minutes, and it just took it already to the next level.
Yeah. Watching people that's how I learn.
Right.
I mean, I've never taken, like, classes. Like, I never did, like, the Ryonet class or anything. So, I like watching things be done. I don't really like the whole structure of a lecture or of, like, homework. Like, hey, we're all going to make this today.
Right. That's why I asked you if I could come down here. Because, outside not knocking the class, just actually doing the hands-on.
Well, yeah, I mean, the class is great, but it is an overview. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't take the class and magically be an amazing screen printer in 2 days. No, and no one can offer you that.
No.
Any other classes that are trying to pitch that is just scamming.
Unrealistic.
Like, you shouldn't be telling people that.
Right.
That, like, oh, you're going to have $1 million business if you take my course. It's like, get out of here.
Right.
Like, there's so much to do.
We just, today, for example, alone, putting the water-based, that blue shirt or sweater that we were putting through and they were coming out.
Yeah, the discharge was bad.
Discharge, yeah, yellow. But then we put him through twice and it came out. Mm-hmm. That's all it needed. I didn't learn that in class, and that's something that you can't.
Yeah, it's like practical problems. When you're printing, things just go really sideways.
Right.
Especially like polyester blends. If you get a weird shirt or a weird brand that's maybe not as good a quality, some of those dye migration problems are the worst. Like, so discharge and dye migration you're always playing with it, even though our guys have done it every week for years.
See, and that's, I guess, where it gets kind of scary for a guy like me. You guys have the point where you can kind of play with it. You have that capability, and it's not going to be devastating. Mm-hmm. With me, the trial and error aspect can be very costly.
Yeah,
very
because you don't have a wall of ink, and and you're trying to get something done and whatever.
Right. So, you got any advice for that?
Reddit and t-shirt forums. If you go, there's a pretty decent subreddit for screen printing.
Okay.
And they're pretty responsive guys. I mean, like, you can go on there and just, say like, hey guys, this is the brand of discharge I bought, and no matter what I do, it's turning pink. And you'll get like 5-6 comments of guys saying why they think it's wrong. And then t-shirt forums, that's been around forever. So you could go on t-shirt forums and ask questions. So when you get to that point of being like completely stumped,
right,
go online. But also a lot of it's like, you know, turn up your heat, turn down your heat, raise your thing, lower your thing. Like, especially like I'll see a lot of people who are new having registration problems.
Mm.
And it's almost always like, okay, we'll fix your off contact. Like they just have whacked out off contact.
Right.
And then all their reg is bad. And they think that like the machine's broken. So a lot of times it's like patience and just keep going.
Okay. That'd be your biggest piece of advice, probably. Just patience and keep going. Because I know that's what's happened to me just even from the start, you know, the off contact. Something as simple as that. Mm-hmm. You know, just running ink through and getting frustrated. Like, why is this not working? And then watching a video and seeing.
Yeah.
Everything you need a gap.
Everything will work eventually. I mean, at one point when I was like playing around with screen printing, mm-hmm. I had to like burn things outside. I would just put it in the sun. That's
how you do your exposure for your film?
Yeah. Because I was like, I don't want to spend whatever, $400 on a light table.
Right.
So I was just like, so everything works. Like on the most stupid base level, you can get a hinge and like drill it into a table with your screen. I mean, you know, like the equipment gets nicer, but it's really pretty simple. There's these videos you can see on Instagram of people in like the Philippines, and everything's handmade. Mm-hmm. Their gear is amazing. It's like these long tables. Then they lay the shirts down in like a run of tables, and this guy walks, just puts the screen down, does the squeegee, and then he just moves to the next screen, and then he just lets it start air drying. Because he's just got like whatever weird water base they buy, which is like borderline paint. And so they just let this like acrylic ink dry, and then they just walk around putting screens on things. So if you just keep cranking, like you'll figure out something, even if it's not like the right way. There's always a way to make it work. It's just ink. I mean, it's not. Even when you get stuck, it's not like rocket science.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's about.
What'd you do about the website? Did you figure out what you're gonna buy?
What do you mean?
Were you gonna do the Squarespace or the?
I haven't sat down yesterday when we took off. I just went and crashed at a friend, so I didn't. I didn't have any equipment. Yeah, I didn't have it. I mean, I could have done it on my phone. I had no charger. It was dying.
Build a website on a phone. That'll be the next thing. Some idiot making an app like build your own website on your phone.
Hey,
they probably have it already, kinda.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah. That's what makes the world go round. But yeah, I know sitting down and putting time into the website. I'm sure I'll be bothering you about that, asking questions. You know.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Just do that thing we did yesterday with the layout.
Okay. All right. No, for sure. I've been thinking about it. It's just I didn't.
So many people's websites get so messy, and they forget that they're actually asking someone to buy something.
Right.
Like, just do that really clean template of just, like, headline, testimonial, maybe, like, some photos, and then go back into a contact form again. Because that's all you're really trying to do with a website is get a contact. Because this industry... You kind of can't automatically do it. You can't just get an order. I mean, you can do like the custom ink style of printing, mm-hmm. but there's a lot of people who don't like that level.
Right.
They want like a higher quality. So in a world where custom ink exists, you need them to like get on the phone with you. That way you can really do it right. Because, you're never going to compete on that level of website.
Right. And not, I mean, you can go in there and design your own shirt and whatnot, but it's mainly all templates and kind of, mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't particularly care.
Well, they farm out pretty much everything. So, like, your print quality has problems.
Right.
Which, actually, that's great because they would eat up the industry if they fixed some of that. Mm-hmm. But they don't, so that's great. Like, they do this, like, fast, big volume thing, but they keep their printing costs as low as they possibly can and, like, all their labor costs as low as possible. So it really helps people who want to sell anything premium because it's really easy to look premium against their shirts. Yeah.
What kind of brands do they even use? Can you select the brands?
Oh, yeah, you can buy everything. Oh, okay. I'm sure you can buy Bella Canvas and stuff on there. They just, you know, they just like get everything on and off. Like the way we do photo approvals and all the way we do like mock-ups and stuff with customers, and then customers are like saying like, oh, I don't like the yellow and all that. Like that doesn't exist. Their whole business is just whatever you gave us, we're printing and it's showing up at your door, period. So they end up with like, they might have even done a good job, and the customer is like, I hate this yellow. And it's because they submitted the art on like a computer or a monitor or whatever. They don't even know what a good yellow would look like. They're just picking yellow. And then when they get it, it looks weird.
Not how they envisioned it.
Yeah. You have a lot of problems with like Pantone colors. When people think, like they'll have a high school color or a college color, and they forget that the color is really important. So they're like, oh yeah, it's like royal blue. And then you give them their shirts and it doesn't match any of the other shirts at the high school. And now you're the idiot for not matching the high school. So a lot of times getting those approvals is like the only way to work through those mistakes that the customer might be the one making. But you're kind of guiding them away from their own mistakes.
Okay. So that's obviously important. Now, I know you mentioned how you used to do it with your website, or you said, "Oh, we'll send a salesman out to talk to you." When it wasn't just you. It was you were the salesman.
Yeah.
I love that. But that looks professional though. Like that's so.
The other guys aren't doing it,
right?
Because it's real hard when it's like, "Hey, yo, come on over to my garage." Like you can't do it.
Right. Okay. So just when you call them up, or if they call you up, you just let them know, hey, we'll send a rep out.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people starting forget that they gave themselves a job. I think a lot of people start and they want to tell everyone that they started their own business, and that's kind of where they end it.
Right.
They like, oh, it's my side hustle, or oh, I'm always grinding. They just like talk and post shit. Like, you know, it's not reality. What people really should be doing is like waking up and doing an 8-hour shift at their own business. It's the only way to grow. If you're gonna like tell people at a bar that you print shirts, how much are you really gonna convert? Like maybe you'll get a guy from the bar, but like you're not gonna grow a business that way. You know, it's not a business until you act like it and you actually put in the work for sales, put in the work for production. You can't charm your way into it, because even if you land a big order, if you blow it, now your reputation's going to go sideways.
And it's going to be hard to...
There's been some really big print shops that have changed their name because their reviews got too bad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. They just like, their Yelp gets way too sideways, and they'll have like a 1-star Yelp. And so they just buy a new website, and then they say like, oh yeah, we're Max's Tees. And then they start a brand new one, and they have their mom leave a 5-star review, and like that's the beginning.
So that actually is a good idea, though, to have people that you know and
review
friends and stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would think that there's probably some sort of review moral gray area there. You know, like it will absolutely benefit you,
right?
And
especially
if you want to,
Yelp,
and if you want to feel like morally okay with it, like, give your mom a free shirt for it, and then she can be like, "This shirt he made's amazing." You know, like at least
it'll be a legit.
At least it's a review.
Yeah.
Like even if you gave people free things, at least it's a little more legit. But it'll absolutely benefit you.
That was one of the biggest questions I had for you, actually. Now, okay, so my company, the name, it's an acronym, OQP, right? I have an insignia with it. I haven't made the website yet.
What's OQP?
OQP, it stands for Only Quality People. There's two different, and you know, like the website will be OQP Apparel, you know, and so the FBN, you know, I've got two different ones, OQP and OQP Desire, also a training type thing. I'm basically stealing the concept of that my partner had, and then kind of going just my own route. You know, I'm gonna put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
Kind of Zuckerberg tactic, you know.
Yeah.
But so with my own line, I haven't started developing that yet. Yeah, do you guys make your own shirts? I haven't even paid attention. No. Is it worth it? Like if you were gonna do your own, you know, like, oh hey, like you do your own tags and just start coming up with cool designs and stuff, like would that be cost effective if they were popular?
So the problem is is audience. And I think that's what even just our customers, when they come in and buy from us because they're starting a brand, is they really completely abandon the concept that someone has to care. Like, they keep telling themselves that they're making something great, and they forget that no one knows who they are. And so if you have an audience that you can sell to, then controlling your own brand, the margins are like phenomenal, because your only cost will be your blank. And then you'll do your own labor. I mean, you'd be a much happy camper. Like, let's say you sold 100 of your own shirts at $20 a pop, and you didn't run any jobs for anyone. Like, you'd be fine. Even just 100 shirts a week, you'd be cool, because you'd only pay for the blank, and then you'd do all the printing. Mm-hmm. You'd be keeping like $16. So you could have a $1,600 profit every week if you sold 100 shirts. But
creating
but do you know 100 people that want to buy your shirt? So it's like the audience is critical, and you can do it kind of old school, like try to sell at the swap meet or try to like get consignment at a store. But then you just have people walking around who still don't know what's going on. Like, I feel like if I launched a brand, then what I'd really want to do is like take a budget, whatever, like $1,000, and for like 6 months I'd do nothing but cool crap. That's it. Like, I just want 20,000 people watching videos and stunts and people who are pretty smiling. That's all I want. I want like 20,000 people on Instagram who actually engage, have comments, you have a lot of likes, people are like into it, and then launch a brand. Because you have 20,000 people that are like into your world that you've created as a brand. So whether it's like positive messages, or if it's just crazy pictures, or even like those meme accounts, at least you have an audience who sees you. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to print a meme on a shirt. I mean, that's probably kind of a dumb idea, but that's the concept. Like, we're going to do...
people doing it here, that one that oppressed, feeling oppressed shirt, that guy that's done, it's essentially a meme.
Yeah, I don't know if we can say his name. But, yeah, he's a big YouTuber. He's like so famous, guys. He's so famous. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I mean, he's got like 5 million subscribers on YouTube. So he can have 5 million people see that shirt when they watch his video today at 3.
Not dropping any hints.
Well,
they'll hear it outdated. Yeah.
A few days ago at 3. So yeah, I mean, when he does that right now, he's gonna have however many 100,000 people who actually tune in live, and then people will be watching it later because they just watch the clip later. Right. So I mean, if he gets like 1%, he's gonna break us. Right. Like, just if 1% of his people buy and he has 1 million views, he'll crush us. Like, the work will be too much. So it's the audience. Wow. Okay. I mean, if you have 20,000 followers for your brand that hasn't even launched, you might only convert like 2% of them. But so the numbers have to be really big to make some money. Okay. Cute and Country, who's one of the other brands we've worked with, I think they're very close to 2 million Facebook followers. But in sales, they might do, I mean, they're perfectly happy. Like, they're doing good. But on 2 million Facebook followers, they might do a few thousand units. So they're nowhere close to 1%. Right.
So if they're making, I mean, how much are they making off each unit, you know?
They do. I mean, everything's at Amazon, so I don't know what he actually set it at, but he's fine. Right. They're like living at the beach and they're happy. Right. Yeah, they're making plenty of money.
So you were saying $1,000 budget on just creating that world.
Yeah, I mean, I think brands are really worlds, because like the idea of putting ink on a shirt is just a commodity. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. You can do it badly, and then you have no business. But assuming you're doing something kind of right, then you're really just doing something that everyone on the planet's capable of. So it's all about a brand that people somehow care about. I think that's like the only way it really works. I mean, why does anyone care about the word Supreme in a red block? Like, Supreme is stupid, and it's huge. And it's all culture.
So I just need one famous person. Like, I need Trump to wear my shirt just one
not
time.
That,
and then
it's not that
golden.
easy either.
No.
No, because like 2 Chainz used to wear his CEO Millionaire stuff. He would we did the shirt that 2 Chainz wore on Stephen Colbert, and he sold like 500.
Really?
So it's like, cool, 500 is great. 500 units is awesome. But he's 2 Chainz on the biggest nightly show like in America, and it's only equal to 500 units. So like, it's not life changing when people
something happens like that.
Blast out merch, because
Right.
everyone's selling merch. So like, you know, it doesn't change your life because Miley wears your shirt. It's cool, and you'll see a bump, but it's not that's not like the beginning and the end of everything.
Okay.
Also, I don't think Miley's really that
Popular.
famous anymore.
Yeah. Poor thing.
Oh, poor Miley. She's like listening to a t-shirt podcast. She's like, really? Really?
I'm suing him. Where's this at?
How is this happening?
I'm going for coal right now.
So, okay, now something simple, and I've done one. I've already made a YouTube video, and just out of my garage, you know, and I'm not trying to like get it out there or anything like that.
You are trying to get it out there. That's the whole...
Well, right, but I'm not really pushing it that hard. I just made it to, honestly, as a challenge. I wanted to see how tough it would be to make it, which it was really simple, even for a guy who's computer illiterate.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually a fairly simple endeavor. But, you know, for me, the route I'd more want to go is the 101 stuff. You know, kind of like this. Like, an actual, hey, if you really want to do this, instead of buying let's say you came into $10,000 or even $4,000 for some reason, you know, you'd saved up enough money and you thought, oh, hey, I want to get to that level. I want to get to shirt agency or, you know, whoever, custom ink. And
that's a small jump.
right, yeah, right. But
that's how the whole system works. It goes like nothing,
garage,
shirt agency, custom ink.
Yeah,
it's a three-step plan.
3-tier. Yeah, it's really that simple.
Nothing
guys.
in between.
But that's what I mean. But that's what the advertising has got you thinking. You know, even my buddy, you know, the guy who I went into partnership with, he was just, oh man, it's so easy, and shirts are so easy, and he had me buff, and I invested money into it and stuff, and then I got on that first job by myself, and it was like, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, you know.
It's not easy money.
Right, and that's something that I guess I kind of wanted to, what my kind of goal with like putting YouTube videos and creating, you know, content for sure, but also like, hey, like something simple I learned real fast was when you're trying to speed up the process and you're drying a screen after degreasing it, don't use a blow dryer. that was not a good idea, you know.
Yeah.
You just pop, the screen's gone. It's like, okay, lesson learned. Kind of expensive lesson, you know, especially with me like ordering it under in front of the gun.
Close to a supplier.
Exactly.
That ruins everything. Because you're waiting for shipments.
Mm-hmm.
That's brutal. I was in Austin at a shop, and it was like that because Austin didn't have a legit supplier. They had like little nobodies, and so we shipped everything in. And like, if you screwed up not getting royal blue, you could not print for 2 days. Like, that was it. Like, the job couldn't run.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely more difficult for you waiting for that stuff to show up. And, yeah.
Okay. That's something that... So how long have you been in this industry?
Well, so in high school, I took the ROP class. That was like the graphic design ROP class.
Mm-hmm.
And they had screen printing stuff there. So I learned screen printing in a class at like 15. Mm-hmm. And then basically there was a core group of us who did the screen printing class like every single semester and didn't learn anything because it was great. We just stood there and did anything we wanted, and the teacher left us alone.
Right.
Because we'd taken the class. So it was almost like a free period where we had toys. And so we were just making weird crap every day. And so I definitely knew a lot as a teenager, just because I was literally allowed to play every single semester. And then in college, I used it to do little hustly money. So it was like, I did like the journalism t-shirts and stuff. And that was just more like hustly. It wasn't a business. They were just giving Cole money.
Right.
And then I did real shops for like maybe 2-3 years. And then I got fired. And that's why all this happened. So, I mean, I've been doing it forever.
Right.
Considering I'm 31, there's not many 31-year-olds that have screen printed for 15 years.
That's where I got that number from.
Yeah. So it's like I've done it a lot, that's for sure.
Okay.
As opposed to like someone starting out a year or two
in their garage, not knowing anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, you don't have an open shop in a high school where you're allowed to do anything you want.
Screw up.
I mean, that we didn't even have jobs. Like, there was nothing to do but play. I think that was a huge part of everything I learned. It's just like complete freedom in that place. So I don't do well with like a lecture, really. So I think that was a huge part of it, was playing. I mean, maybe if you're really worried about it, run jobs for yourself. Even if you just buy Pellons so you're not printing on tees. Just be like, I'm going to do this weird crap just because I'm going to do it. Or like maybe print it on tees, but like sell them for $5. So they're like break even. But you're doing it because you're like, you want to run a discharge job and you've never done it before or whatever.
Right.
You're not really doing it for the actual profit. Like maybe you're just breaking even, having your friends buy them up or something because whatever. It's almost more of an art project.
Okay. Now, I noticed you had some skateboards out there that said Shirt Agency on it. Where did that?
We just put it under the press one day. It's just plastisol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just screen print grip tape. That's all it is. It's just grip tape.
All right. And then the DTG, you have to have quite, I mean, as expensive as those machines are, you have to have quite a bit of a calling to even consider.
Yeah, I mean, I hate DTG so much.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The stuff I've seen, there's been a few things here and there. I was like, it looks alright, but it's nothing that I
mean, not even the look of it, but just using them's a nightmare.
Right.
They're so slow and they're so like finicky. It's crazy. You can do everything right, and you'll have a clogged head. Okay. And you're like, okay, so I'm gonna clean my clogged head. You spend an hour and a half cleaning so that you can then print 6 shirts DTG. I mean, it's awful. Like, it really is awful. In that same hour and a half that you're cleaning a clogged print head, on the auto you could have done 600 units. And manual, you probably could have done like 100 units if you have a conveyor belt. So it's a horrible way to make money. Like when we first started DTG, we were real excited about trying to be like print on demand, push DTG, kind of do that thing like kind of what like Amazon Merch is doing. Mm-hmm. And we were going to buy a whole bunch of them, and we started using them and we're like, this is the worst way to make money ever. Like, it's just, the ink's expensive, the maintenance is awful, and they're not very reliable. So now it's basically become like samples and people who blatantly want full color. So now it's more of like a service that we're offering. It's not, we don't want to be the kings of DTG.
Right.
We want to do what we're doing with the screen printing, where it's like somebody goes online, they pump up a brand, they launch it on like YouTube, and now they've got 5,000 sales or whatever. This Brockhampton one was 15,000 units. Wow. Like, who cares about DTG? Right. Like, what? Why even, like, you could never DTG 15,000 units, ever. You'd never finish. And, like, this is money. Like, that's the way to go. You just do a really nice screen print.
Okay.
So yeah,
just
it's
kind of
definitely
put that out of your mind, especially when you're starting out.
I mean, there's a type of business that, because we're kind of a unique print shop because we really like musicians and businesses and brands. Mm. But there's a type of guy who can make good money with DTG. But it's because you're selling DTG for $25 and you have like a kiosk or you have a mall spot or you have like it's like that, you just cranking out like birthday shirts, and if you charge a lot for the really small jobs, maybe that would make more sense. Mm-hmm. But since that's never been our focus, we don't use them like that. We use them basically like sample machines.
And just so everyone knows, DTG means direct to garment, right?
Mhm.
That's just an acronym for that. It's just
Mhm.
a way of, for a long time, you guys kept saying that, and I'm like, I don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah. I think that the industry has a habit of doing that. Like, once people know things, they talk
They try
really
to
fast.
sound. oh, they just talk faster.
Well, yeah, like the girls at Bella and stuff, when I'll see them like at a show, and when they start talking about fabric, I'm like, okay,
you don't
cool.
even...
Like, it is soft. Like, you know, their knowledge of fabric is
all those other words I don't know, but it is soft.
it is soft. Like their knowledge of that part of it
Uh-huh.
is so far beyond mine. I know things like, does it have polyester? Does it have cotton? You know, when they start getting into like, oh, we've changed the way we're manufacturing and we're doing this now and this and this and this, and it's like, it's all just made up. You know, it's
Right.
like they're just making up words over there, Bella.
I don't know. You can't be talking too bad about them. That's your...
Hey, that was a good thing I said.
Oh,
they have fancy
they're
fabric.
making up words.
Fancy fabric.
All right.
I'm sure anyone listening's done.
Yeah, that's been...
They gave up 10 minutes in.